And then here's that Bulgaria that I had. I was probably still using the zoom here. I don't remember. I don't really remember. But this is the tone of it. Tight. Tight sounding, man. That's the crunch channel. The lead channel on that one I normally use in soloing because I set it up that way. So yeah, 3-channel amp. I had a clean, that the crunch, which I use as a rhythm mainly, and then a lead channel for solos. 6 sounding amp, man. At one point I had the Marshall DSL head. So that's the ESP I have. I found myself a nice ESP Eclipse. It's the one with the 4 knobs, the lawsuit version. It's a good guitar, Seymour Duncan JB and 59, I believe. And in the cabinet was a had stock speakers, but I replaced one of them with a vintage 30. This is how it sounds like. Let's just skim through it. I used like a tube screamer type pedal to it. That was a Joyo vintage OD or vintage overdrive, whatever it is, into a wireless system. I think at that time I already had my Shure GLX D16, a great wireless system with a tuner inbuilt to it. Very, very good unit. I love it. It had a portable battery on it. If you can see on the top of the amp here, you can see the portable battery, the Joyo unit, and the Shure unit. This is my tone back then. And at this time, I was already in the band that I'm in now, Stellar Addiction. I think it's since 2012 or something. The second band I auditioned after I got rejected by the first cover band. Yeah. Oh, maybe the third audition. And there was just a couple of drug addicts, and just I didn't know the situation I was walking into. It was a terrible time. Walked into their house to audition, brought all my gear, my good stuff in, and they were playing these I mean, had a nice PV Bandit and a decent like Epiphone or whatever it was, like cheap guitars, and dirty house, like looked like a drug addict's house, and had like bongs and cigarette paper and tobacco on the coffee table in the living room. Just uncomfortable to be there. And there was a lady there too that looked like he was one of the dude's mom, and seemed like she didn't really care that all this drugs and drug stuff was in there. It's like I couldn't wait to get out of there. But anyway, back to this one. It's a nice little story there. This is at the time in 2016. This is the gear that I was using with Stellar Addiction, and this is how it kind of sounds like. Overall, I wasn't too satisfied with the tone of the amp, but it did the job and stuff. I realized that I did well and made do with my old gear, like my JVC boombox and the Zoom G1X and crappy electric guitar. But that was good playing by yourself in the bedroom. But in a band context, everything mixed in. It wasn't. Yes, it did. I wasn't. I wasn't feeling it. Skip through it. So yeah, that's the gist of the tone of that. I won't dwell too long on it. And we look at the others. Had a megalith. Megalith. I think it was the gamma or the beta. No, I think I had the beta. This was a big sounding amp. I was still not too satisfied because the distortion, it sounded a bit too smooth for me. I think I tried to make it work, but then in the end I had to let go of it. Let's see how it sounds like. I was still using the same amp. I think the speakers was a mismatch as well because I think the Vintage 30 was good, but yeah, I had a G12K100 because I want to try this big sounding speaker, and but I don't think it matched the amp because the amp it made the tone was really there was too much low end. There's too much low end, so overpowering everything. Maybe it would have done well with two Vintage 30s, but overall the gain, the distortion, this was too smooth. Tight sound. The tight sound was also contributed to by the pickups that I got from for this guitar. I replaced it with BG Pups. BG Pups. The pickups were called Pure 90. It's like a P90, an actual P90 that was cut down so that it can fit in a humbucker space. I was really pleased with those pickups, and even the recording producer, he really liked the sound as well because the rough, raunchy sounding goodness of these pickups. Now moving on, ended up selling that Megalith Beta though. But yeah, that's just I won't go too much more on the on my stuff. I'll give you a quick, just as the years went by, better and better gear until I was happy. Today I'm using PRS guitars with stock pickups, custom 22 and custom 24. I had the pedal version of the Megalith Delta, or sorry, the pedal version of the Megalith amps, which is the Megalith Delta. That was good. All these other pedals you can see in my channel, and today I'm pretty happy with the gear I have today. Still using the PRS guitar, and I'm using an orange pedal baby. It's a solid state amp head, 100 watts, and it sounds fantastic, man, with the pedals that I'm using. My main pedals, the Rev G3, and my cabinet is a 112 called a Barefaced Reformer 112 with Vintage 30. Check them out, man. Good sounding cabinet, because there's a special innovation at the back of it so that the sound isn't going to be super directional. It spreads it out. I also got a D-Flex. It's like a thing that you put in front of the amp so that the sound disperses, right? D-Flex. And got my Shure GLX-D. I got a Joyo switcher, like to switch pedals so that I can switch between different groups of pedals depending on what I need. The clean with reverb and distortion for rhythm, and an in-between sound, like in between the clean and distortion, and a solo tone. It's fairly basic, my my gear today. Fairly basic stuff, but that's it, man. Looking back, I was so wowed by when I looked at my videos from before. I was thinking, man, that's what I started with. That's what I was playing before. Man, at the time, I just didn't really care. I just wanted to play. I wanted to level up my skills. Today, that we have So many people who wanna learn to play guitar and they put too much emphasis on their gear. When I heard people saying gear doesn't matter, I had I was kind of swinging back and forth. I was like, yeah, it matters. Yeah, but then again, it doesn't. But when I look at this, man, it's like, oh man, it doesn't really matter too much. It matters to an extent, you know. You still wanna have the basics. Like if you're playing metal, you want a guitar that's decent and somewhat playable. The red guitar that I had wasn't really super playable. It done the job. It was playable enough. It wasn't super bad as like a cheap those really cheap student guitars, I suppose. But the action is too high. And then when you're playing metal, you want to have some distortion. You know, any distortion could do. A clean tone maybe, and basic stuff. I mean, it work differently for different people. Might work differently for you, but for me, that's what happened to me. I know this got pretty long, but if you're still here, thank you for your time and for watching. Right? If you didn't like this, then you know what to do. But if you like it, you can always pluck that like button and all that stuff. I won't waste too much more of your time. See you next time, man. Peace.